This is a cautionary tale. Lil Wayne, once universally crowned the best rapper alive, built a legacy through sheer volume, dizzying lyricism, and a style all his own. He didn't just ride waves, he made them. From his Hot Boys days to the dedication tapes in the Carter 3, Wayne expanded what was possible in hip hop. But the Carter 6 sounds different, and not in a good way. After spending a week with the album, I found myself asking, what happened? The bars aren't sharp, the energy feels forced, the music echoes past formulas that lacks the spirit that once animated them. What we might be witnessing isn't just a dip in quality, but creative stagnation, maybe even regression. And here's the thing, this isn't just about Lil Wayne. This is about what happens when you create from a template, when your creative choices start feeling like copy and paste, when the work no longer feels like it's pulling from within, pulling something true from you, but instead just filling space. So let's talk about what we're seeing in Wayne's most recent work, and let's get honest about the signs of creative regression and what we as creatives can learn from this. In the Carter 6, the first sign of creative regression is lyrical stagnation. Wayne, once known for surreal metaphors and jaw-dropping punchlines, now leans on predictable similes and recycled ideas. Take the song Peanuts to Elephants, where he says, "You niggas just peanuts to an elephant. I'm the wrong elephant to fuck with." He's revisiting a line that originally landed with force in 6 Foot 7 Foot, where he said, "You niggas just gelatin, peanuts to an elephant." And now we're in 2025 and he's using the same metaphor, but now it feels stretched thin, less sharp, more repetitive, delivered over a beat that many found jarring. Instead of evolving the idea, Wayne just simply repeats it, banking on nostalgia over innovation. And the rest of the song follows suit, filled with cartoonish punchlines and exaggerated flexes. For example, he says, "My bitch got an elephant booty, not a rump roast." These bars feel like echoes of Wayne's signature style, but without the surprise or spontaneity that once defined his voice. We see similar patterns in Bells, which samples LL Cool J's Rock the Bells song. In one line he says, "I've been rocking niggas bells, I've been rocking bitches world." It's catchy, sure, but it's also expected. The wordplay is there, but the spark isn't. It's Wayne doing Wayne on autopilot. Now compare that to classic Wayne. Take, for example, a line that a lot of us probably have repeated often. "Real G's move in silence like lasagna." Or, "Safe sex is great sex. Better wear latex because you don't want that latex that I think I'm latex." Those lines were clever, surprising, and quotable. They stuck with you because they were fresh and strange. They came from an artist who seemed to be rapping straight from his subconscious. And he often said that he would just go in and he wouldn't write anything down. He would just go off of what he had at the top of his head. But now that edge is dulled. Even the fix before the 6, which came out in 2023, was not groundbreaking, but it offered sharper flows and more energy. Tracks like Act Up and Birds felt hungry, experimental, alive. But by the time the Carter 6 dropped, that spark had faded. The result is a project that sounds familiar, but uninspired. This is where we get to the heart of the matter. The Carter 6 sounds like it was built around a formula, a blueprint Wayne has used before. Mid-tempo trap beats, auto-tuned hooks, punchline bars, a few big name features. It's the skeleton of a Lil Wayne album, but there's very little soul in it. And here's the truth about formulas. Sure, they're easy to rely on, but they don't evolve. They simply repeat what you've done before. And trust me, I understand the temptation of the formula. If it worked before, why not reuse it? Especially if the world keeps telling you how great you are. But when we stop listening to our own curiosity, our art starts to echo instead of expand. And here's where we offer grace. It's okay to release a project that doesn't land, but your output is a reflection of where you are. And sometimes that place is tired, unclear, or out of alignment. The issue isn't failure or putting out work that isn't good. It's staying in a place that no longer serves you creatively. What Wayne's most recent work teaches us is that success doesn't protect you from regression, and that regression often signals something deeper, a need to rest, reassess, and reconnect. And he isn't alone in this. We all hit points where we feel disconnected from our own work, from our creativity. So here are a few signs you might be creating on autopilot. You keep returning to the same themes or ideas, not because they speak to you, but because they're safe. Your process feels like a checklist, not a discovery. You're no longer surprised by your own output. You come to expect it. And in that way, you're not learning anything from it. And you create primarily for external approval or algorithmic reach. In the Carter 6, that's what we see. Wayne isn't challenging himself. He's revisiting a house he built 15 years ago, but hasn't renovated. Let's contrast that with someone like Pusha T. On paper, he's been rapping about the same subject for decades. He's still rapping about cocaine, street life, and its coded hierarchies. But he doesn't just repeat the same stories. He refines them. Each album becomes a new lens through which he reinterprets the world he came from. His metaphors are sharper, his perspective more self-aware. He zooms in on new details, injects irony, maturity, even regret. He's not just telling the story again. He's telling it differently, with more precision and layered meaning. Let's look at an example from Let the Smokers Shine the Coops. If kilograms is the proof, I done sold the golden goose. I got 'em, baby. I'm Jim Purdue, cocaine's Dr. Seuss. This lyric shows his growth. He's still rapping about the drug game, but now with sharper wordplay and wit. Now let's look at another line from the same song. The dope game destroyed my youth. Now Kim Jones, Dior my suits. He's moved from sharp street imagery to reflective weight, revealing the emotional cost behind the hustle. Compare that to early Clips era bars like, I'm the neighborhood pusher, call me subwoofer, cause I pump bass like that, Jack. And you see the shift. Same world, but now it's filtered through time, distance, and insight. He's narrating legacy, not just lifestyle. And that's what creative growth can look like. Staying rooted in your truth, but learning to tell the story differently, with more precision, perspective, and power. Wayne, by contrast, hasn't changed his palette. Same beat selection, same vocal delivery, same topics. He's still rapping like it's 2009. But the world has changed, and he hasn't moved with it. Then there's Beyoncé. With each project, she reinvents her sonic and visual identity. Renaissance wasn't just a shift in sound, it was a shift in self. And to do that, it required deep research, risk, and claiming her joy. From Dangerously in Love to Lemonade to Cowboy Carter, she's constantly exploring new terrain, honoring tradition while blending it forward. She's not just protecting her legacy, she's expanding it. And we cannot forget Black is King, a visual album that wasn't just about music, but about ancestry, mythology, the Black diaspora, and ancestral reclamation. She blended fashion, folklore, and spiritual symbolism to craft a global narrative of Black identity and power. That wasn't safe. It wasn't algorithm tested. It was a creative risk rooted in purpose. Beyoncé's evolution isn't just stylistic, it's existential. With every project, she asks herself, who am I now? And more importantly, what do I need to say? Artists like Kendrick, Tyler, Andre 3000, and Solange also embody this and understand that creative evolution isn't just aesthetic, it's spiritual. Take Kendrick, for example. From the chaotic jazz of To Pimp a Butterfly to the introspective therapy session of Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers, Kendrick's arc isn't linear, it's layered. Good Kid, Mad City was cinematic. Damn was reflective. Mr. Morale was raw, uncomfortable, and deeply human. It explored generational trauma, masculinity, and healing. Not from a pedestal, but from the messy middle. Kendrick's willingness to question himself, to be disliked, to make an album that doesn't play well in the club, but might change someone's life. That's evolution. And even with The Heart Part 5, he shows how to collapse social commentary, grief, and innovation into a single track. And then there's GNX, where he brings a new sound and features artists who aren't yet widely known, but who are pushing sonic and visual boundaries even further. And even Andre 3000, who barely raps anymore, shows us that reinvention might mean putting down the mic and picking up a flute. That's growth too. So what's the lesson here? Evolution isn't about doing more, it's about being more, about becoming more honest, more authentically yourself. And let's take a look at what's really going on beneath the surface when your creative spark fades. When artists like Wayne start creating from habit instead of hunger, there's often more at play than just burnout. And I want to look at 5 psychological frameworks that will help us understand what might be happening and how to recognize it in ourselves. First, let's look at hedonic adaptation, when success stops feeling like success. This theory explains how we quickly get used to the big wins. The first platinum album, yeah, that's a life-changing. The 5th, oh, that's just another Tuesday. And for Lil Wayne, after a string of iconic projects and decades of cultural dominance, the thrill of winning likely dulled. And that's not about ego. It's about how our brains are wired. If we keep experiencing success, we normalize success. And when it becomes your baseline, it stops being creatively satisfying. You're chasing a feeling that no longer comes from doing the same thing. And if you don't intentionally seek new challenges or deeper meaning, the work that once lit you up can start to feel empty, even if you're still winning on paper. Next, let's talk about the overjustification effect, when passion turns into obligation. This theory says that when external rewards like money, status, or praise become the main reason you do something you once loved intrinsically, your motivation shifts, and not in a good way. Think about mixtape era Wayne. Endless freestyles, new music just for the joy of it. And when we fast forward, now the songs are tied to label schedules, brand deals, and fan expectations. The art has become a job, a brand extension, a responsibility. When your creativity is constantly being monetized or judged or accepted to look or feel a certain way, it's easy to forget what you loved about it in the first place. The joy gets replaced by pressure. And the joy is the soul of originality. And that brings us to cognitive evaluation theory, when outside control weakens inner drive. This one's closely related to the overjustification effect. It says that when we feel controlled by outside forces, even subtly, it drains our sense of autonomy, and with it, our creativity. If Wayne feels boxed in by what the audience expects or what a Lil Wayne album should sound like, he's no longer creating from freedom. He's responding to demands. That internal compass that guided his best work, it probably has started to get quieter. And the moment you start making work based solely on what others want or what you think will perform well, you lose access to your deepest creative instincts. You stop exploring and start repeating what works, but no longer with that same fire and energy that you once had. And this also is tied to the fixed mindset. When your past success becomes a cage. Carol Dweck's fixed versus growth mindset theory says that people who believe their talent is innate or fixed tend to avoid risk and failure, while those who believe it can grow, growth mindset, embrace experimentation. Wayne might believe he's great because he was born with it. So if something doesn't do well, it's not just a project that failed. It's a direct threat to his identity as a legend. That can lead to playing it safe, repeating old patterns, and sticking to what you know instead of evolving. And if I know anything about creativity, I know this. Growth requires vulnerability. If you're too attached to your image, you won't let yourself stumble or make mistakes. And you can't grow without stumbling. Some of the biggest lessons are to be found in your failures. And lastly, let's talk about creative burnout and the perfectionism spiral. When the pressure to be great silences your ability to create. And burnout isn't just about being tired. It's about being emotionally disconnected from your work. And perfectionism doesn't mean I have high standards. It means if this isn't amazing, it's worthless. And if I'm not amazing, I don't matter. For someone with Wayne's legacy, the weight of trying to be better than what he put out last time over and over could lead to paralysis or indifference. So instead of pushing forward, you might retreat into what feels safe, predictable, repetitive. And you can't create from a place of pressure. You can't draw from an empty cup. When your creative output becomes a burden, it's time to step back and reset your relationship with the work. Remember, every season isn't meant for output. There are seasons for rest, and that's so important to avoid creative burnout and getting stuck in the perfectionism trap. So what can we take away from this? Listen to your art. If it sounds hollow, it probably is. And that's a signal to go deeper. Or take a step back and figure out what's going on inside. Also, don't confuse output with growth. More songs, more posts, more content doesn't equal evolution. Look at the quality of the work. Are you saying something new? What was your experience during the process? Did you learn something new about yourself or the world around you? And make room for boredom, stillness, and curiosity. They're often the beginning of your next breakthrough. So if you're feeling stuck, don't try to rush out of that. Sit in it and listen to what the moment is trying to tell you. And lastly, you must evolve or echo. That's the crossroads every creative eventually faces. And when it's time for you to make a choice, always choose growth. Growth is the path that's going to lead to your best creative work. Lil Wayne is still a legend. That will never change. But his recent work holds a very important lesson. Even the greats can get stuck. What matters is whether they find the courage to move through it. And honestly, that's a lesson for all of us. Wayne's story isn't a failure, it's a mirror. A reminder that greatness isn't guaranteed, it's maintained. And sometimes to move forward, You have to stop circling what already worked. Wayne's story isn't over. He's already reinvented himself once. He can do it again. But reinvention starts off the mic. It starts with your life, your worldview, your willingness to evolve. So I don't think this is Wayne's fall off. It's just a mirror. And maybe the rest of us need to pay attention to what our own work is reflecting back. It's okay to make work that doesn't meet your standards. It's okay to fall out of love with your art, but don't stay there. Don't live in the loop. Find your next question. Go live a new story and bring us something we haven't heard before. So if you're stuck creatively, don't panic, don't fake it, don't repeat old templates. Sit with it. Ask better questions. Let the silence stretch until something real wants to be said. Because your creative birthright isn't just about output. It's about being present in what you make. And sometimes to move forward, we have to return to that. All right, that's all I have for you today. But please do get down in the comments and let me know what your biggest takeaway from today's discussion is. Or let me know what you have done to get out of creative stagnation. And be sure to hit the like button on the way out. All right, I'll see you in the next video.